flowers bloom in the spring. Morning and dawning, birds are singing, sunset winds and stormy days. That's why I can hardly wait. Open up those golden gates, California, here I come. California, here I come, right back where I started. Flowers bloom in the spring. Morning and dawning, birds are singing, sunset winds and stormy days. That's why I can hardly.
Here it is, episode 29. Simple, easygoing islands.
Islands.
The little lands that aren't the mainland.
They is land.
They is land, but they is around the water. Huell couldn't have been more California in this first shot, the cold open of episode 403, Islands.
Let's hear it.
We got our main man, Huell, wearing his main man jacket, the fish stick man jacket.
Just FMJ.
Dude, did you put it too?
Yeah, look.
I put FSM.
No, I put FMJ. His FM
Fish
jacket.
stick man jacket. I put fish stick man. Okay.
Okay.
Still trying to come up with acronyms of this stuff. Standing in front of the all-American, American-built Ford Explorer, which we learn is the second, maybe even third,
Could be third,
at least the second that we have proof of, version of the Explorer, which corroborates Louis' story he told us at his talk in Valencia. Because in this shot, in front of the Queen Mary of all things, we see the license plate 3ABZ 800.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that there was a shot in
It was
last season.
Devil's Jaw.
That's right. And what was that one? You have it written.
Yeah, it's ZWJ6189.
So, obviously, this is it's a different car. I also looked up this license plate number. It doesn't show up.
No?
So, obviously, this Ford Explorer is either destroyed
Maybe
or
Huell's trying to blow through some bridge tools and picture lights.
what are you talking about?
It's a fake license plate. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Speaking of bridge tolls, I got a fast track thing in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
You think that this would be like high technology? They couldn't even read their own picture that they took of someone's license plate. Because our license plate for one of our work trucks was like 6J25 something something. And this one was 6J7 something. So they mixed up a 2 and a 7 in their own picture. So I just like had to send him a picture of our license plate and be like, nah, fool. No. I just sent it back to him. We'll see what Fast Track has to say about that.
Just send him a picture of money.
It's as valuable, right? Anyway, Huell is on the mainland. He's in Long Beach because that's where the start of this episode is. Meaning, or the start of this segment, like how the whole race starts.
Yeah.
Which you heard us talking about it last week, right?
Yeah.
We had to let the cat out of the bag. Because I try and make it a little surprising when we finally let it loose when Huell talks about it. Because he does that. He's with his whole, like, if this piques your interest, come along with us, that kind of thing. Anyway, he's in Long Beach for the race, the ski race. But before we get there, what'd you think of the theme this week?
Well, so Huell, when he's talking about the islands themselves, he says, I'm not speaking of Hawaii, which is, 2,000 plus miles that way. And he points...
In a different state,
yeah. But then, the intro music is a Hawaiian themed.
Yeah.
So, is he trying to confuse us?
I don't know, man. All I know is they don't say who the band is till the very end. But I'm going to tell you who it is. It's the Hula Hulau O Lili Noi of Carson.
I thought it was the Oahu Hooligans.
Maybe. Either way, my favorite part about the theme, like, it sounds okay and all, but my favorite part is that dude had to bring his bass amp to the pier.
Dude, okay. That's what I have right here. Is that full word? Is he playing a jazz bass?
And it's plugged, and you can see the cord stringing off camera. Like,
it's like watching a mariachi band or something, and the guy
that
just
big old fat boy, like they do.
Yeah.
Oh man,
That's good.
So Huell really does a good job of explaining, or he kind of like he teases what the race is all about. You got to hear this clip. Here, hit it, Huell.
Well, let's go back in time. Back to 1957, to be exact, in the Long Beach Harbor, when some very excited young water skiers took part in a ski race sponsored by the Long Beach Boat and Ski Club. An annual event started in 1949. Lots of spectators, lots of fast boats, and lots of very good local skiers. Everyone having fun, and probably no one at the time realizing that they were part of an event that was to grow into a true California tradition. Now we're very much in the present, and here we are in the very same Long Beach Harbor. And guess what? That annual ski race started back in 1949 is still an annual ski race. Hadn't missed a year. Of course, these days the boats are a lot bigger, and the skiers are a lot faster, and they come from all over the world to compete. Still sponsored by the Long Beach Boat and Ski Club, this race has grown to be one of the most prestigious and best-known water ski races in the world.
I was thinking, before we move on,
Yeah.
do you know what could have spruced up that intro, the Hawaiian intro?
What?
Hawaiian-themed intro?
Shoes on the dancers.
That.
It's a dirty, rotten pier.
Dude, they got... Well, anyway.
Okay.
Anyway. Lisa Simpson jazz solo.
Oh, like last week with the sax player?
Yes.
Man.
Well,
That
we
would've
didn't
been
get
good.
it. That's okay.
It's
anyway,
okay.
Anyway.
It's still a good version. I guess we're just a little spoiled from last week because we like last week's theme a lot. This week's equally good,
But
as far as like creativity goes.
well, we were spoiled too because there was color.
Yeah. The title isn't black and white, which doesn't make any sense because there's black and white pictures that they're showing, but they've never done this before.
No.
At all. Why isn't it yellow? Like it would have snapped so hard on this black and white footage.
I know. Well, I wonder, this is the first time I remember, unless you can remember something, but is this the first time they showed a clip and put California's, or the title over it?
No, they did it last week. There
Did
was
they?
some horse footage.
Oh,
They did
that's
it,
right,
But
that's
it was
right,
just
that's right.
yellow.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
quick. But the theme you heard this week, it ends pretty quick because it goes right into some surfer kind of rock and roll, traditional rock and roll music over these water skiing clips we're talking about, and that's what Huell does the clip over. Where he's talking about the Long Beach Boat and Ski Club race that started in 1949. Still happening. It's happening. Well, it happened yesterday. So it still happens to this day. If anyone here heard who won it, let us know.
Or was anyone that was
If
there?
you were there, even better, yeah. So, like we said last week, these fools are going 80 to 90 miles per hour.
That is so fast on a boat.
I don't even want to go that fast in a car. Like when people speed all crazy in a car like that, nah. Slow down. That's what I say.
Oh, you tell them to slow down?
Yeah.
Such a whole person thing to
I
do.
know.
Oh,
But
man.
I guess they're just cruising at like 60 miles an hour most of the time. Like 90 is their top speed.
Yeah. Well, did you notice, before we get started with the interviews...
Well, you don't want to jump right into JP?
No, I do. But before we get to This episode, the succession of interviews, everyone has a voice I did not expect to come out of their
Okay, yeah. I did kind of notice that.
bodies.
Too.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of interviews in this episode. Both segments.
Yeah. Starts with JP.
JP Krieger,
Yep.
son of Robbie Krieger, guitar player for The Doors.
Yeah.
Could be.
And then, I don't know if we get the other guy's name.
We don't, because
We don't
Robbie
get-
just is talking about, the boats are cool and fast. Whoa.
And he also mentions that, he makes a pretty
I think I know.
extraordinary claim that around the world, this is one of the top 3 races in the world.
Like, you're the assistant race director, JP, Jonathan Philip Krieger. Dang it.
That works.
Just call it the best one. Like, why are you saying it's one of the 3 best?
I wasn't fact-checking the guy, but I looked it up, and it doesn't seem like he's wrong, but it's an extraordinary claim still.
Okay.
So,
Well, JP's, like, hanging with a homie on the back of the boat with Huell. And this dude, you could tell he's a bit spiced. He's a little peeved.
yeah.
Because he got to race a couple years prior, and then he missed last year. And he missed this year, too, because he got married. And you can kind of, like, get a glimpse into the private life of Huell when he says, what does married have what does it have to do with doing a ski race? And the guy with the killerest Oakleys just says, well, anyone who's married would know how to answer that question. Which Huell just cracks up at. Bah, ha, ha. Never married Huell.
But the funny part of this is you and I are married.
Uh-huh.
I don't think this would be a problem. Unless it was one of these things where, hey, you may break your neck. You probably need to stop.
I'm assuming that because, I mean, we don't really do any... Like, this is our extracurricular...
This is pretty
outside of
extreme, though.
What we're doing?
Yeah.
Sitting in my bonus room. Trying to get this podcast done before we go on our vacations.
Yeah.
Drinking sparkling water.
This is hardcore stuff, dude.
I know.
So,
This is... Okay, you drinking the Dasani with the berry flavor is as extreme as old JP slamming down the Long Beach channel.
I was going to say, the only reason I'm drinking this berries Dasani is because you have it. I drink plain water.
I know.
I
So I'm the extreme one?
I think you're the extreme one.
All right. Either way, let's get into these interviews. Well, actually, before we do, there's lots of good shots, like helicopter shots.
Yes.
I don't think Louis did this because they thanked a different weird group at the end. It didn't say, like, for the shots. But
dude, this shows how wild it is, though.
yeah, because his helicopter's going, like, pretty low over the water, and there's all these boats just slamming down.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh, man. I like that they're all wearing neon, too. And in fact, on the website that I checked out to see if they still do this, which they did yesterday, they still have to wear neon. I think it's like a rule. They don't list the rules, but it seems pretty prevalent.
You can't just wear Euro trunks like they used to?
No. But I think the next interview is a Chuck Stearns.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that, I guess we could talk about how this competition, and I guess this extreme, evolution of the competition, this is like so many other things that become so extreme that the first people to do it, it takes a lot more to impress people later on down the line.
Yeah.
And so I saw that in skateboarding, where you see a person in a skate video from the 90s, just doing something like kick-flipping a 8-stair or a 9-stair, depending on which part of the 90s you're watching. And, I'm going to have to just warm up with that. It just gets crazier. And now these guys just look like they're going to die if they fall off, skateboarding-wise. And this, too.
On the website, there was like a RIP thing on there from a dude who died in 2012.
From hitting the water?
I'm assuming so because it was like a
Jeez.
silhouette of him with his skis. But
Well, Chuck does talk about how it's like skiing into outer space. Maybe the guy just went straight up
what
to the
did
moon.
that? Okay, so Chuck Stearns. He's one of these guys in the black and white clips that they show in the show, and like the first time he won, he looked like he was 6 years old, like a buff 6-year-old, and now he's probably maybe his 50s at this point in the show.
Still has extreme hair.
Yeah, he always got like the
Permaspike.
yeah, that the Boz got in the 80s on the Raiders. I like that him and Huell are wearing the exact same clothes and have similar hair and similar builds.
Yeah.
Like they could have just changed spots and it would have been the same show for a second.
Well, you notice how tight the necks are on those T-shirts?
And like up higher, they're almost like mock turtlenecks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a little much for me. I got to stretch it out a little bit.
But Chuck won the ski race 11 times. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's like almost twice as many championships than Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan,
This is harder,
he
too.
just played basketball. Like 6-year-olds play basketball. Chuck was winning when he looked like he was 6, skiing 60 miles an hour for an hour straight. Dude is a beast.
And he does explain what it was like to ride, right?
Well, he kind of tried to downplay it. Did you hear what he said? When he said that he would just be like kind of singing to himself, and he would sing zippity boo wah, whatever it's called.
I was thinking of Martin on Frasier when he writes the Sinatra song.
Wow, wow, wow. Zippity boo wah. Who doesn't know zippity doo dah? I think Chuck hit the ground or the water a few too many times during those races.
You notice how soft and mellow his voice is?
Yeah, he did. Like he's got that rugged, like hard chin line, and the jaw line there, and oh man,
Oh. It's pretty straightforward interview, though.
yeah, really, what they're saying. Besides that, like skiing into outer space line, which came out of nowhere.
Well, he did. He did mix up his words a little bit at the beginning. I think he was trying to say repeat and repetitive. I forget exactly. Darn. I wrote down repetitious.
Yeah.
So,
Well, like I
who
said,
can blame him? I'd be babbling if I was being interviewed by Huell. So.
Just think zippity boo wah, zippity bay. Oh, man. Either way, Huell obviously is not going to do this. He's not going to get on the skis. Because, like, water skiing, wakeboarding, that's hard. We've done it before.
But here's the thing. It's true.
Well, we shouldn't say we've done it before. We've gone on a trip together, and I, like, got concussions while you got up on the wakeboard. Let's put it that way.
Well, Huell is doing something more extreme than that, though. Than being pulled behind the boat. He's going 60-plus miles an hour without a pair of sunglasses.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah. So he got in the boat while they're pulling Lori Dunsmore, who is one of these skiers. And there are these two guys driving the boat. One of them has, like...
Dude, I thought they were snowboarding goggles.
That's what they look like.
Yeah.
And the other guy's just got, like, regular kind of wraparound, like, cool guy Oakley shades. And Huell's got nothing. And at one point, he's just, like, turning around and, like, oh, I can't get out of this wind. All the while, he's looking really scared to me. Did he look scared to you? Because he's trying to just do an interview. You can barely hear him. He even says, "Good grief." Old Charlie Brown style. And then
Well, before we get to Lori,
okay.
we could talk about how bumpy that ride was.
I mean, you can tell in the shots that Louis getting. Like, he's falling over.
Yeah.
He must have wrote about it in the book, right?
He did. Well, in one of the descriptions of the show, in his book, Louis, Take a Look at This, Louis mentioned that his shoulder was injured from the constant pounding on the rough water and that he had to undergo therapy after the shoot.
That's insane. I don't know what kind of therapy.
I don't know either.
I don't know if he means like Fraser Crane style therapy, like he was mentally scarred.
No, he had to have his rotator cuff reconstructed.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because
either way, thanks for the sacrifice, because
it's a good show.
Good show.
It's a good segment. And he seems okay to hold the camera when they talk to old Lori Dunsmore, who is just kind of going over the gear, which is interesting stuff. Like, it's not your average, everyday water skiing stuff. And Huell's just going along with it. But he's really impressed with her physique. Did you notice that?
I did.
So much so that he makes her flex for the camera, which is always a really nice thing to make someone do. And he says it by saying, make a muscle for us. And whatever, she does it. She plays along.
And her personality, though, is the exact personality I think that she would have.
Yes.
She's also very mellow.
Well, I think you got to, because as tough as this is, it also seems kind of like a boring sport. You're like just doing it for so long.
Yeah.
And just, skiing, zippity boo wah. I like that she's trying to get out of this tight wetsuit, and Huell has to like help her at the end, and that's the last shot of her.
Just cuts it.
Is Huell yanking this thing off?
There's that shot in between the next segment, though. Did you notice how many helicopters were in the sky?
Like 6 in the air, like really, really close. I wish we'd gone to this.
I know.
Instead of you being across the country and me being in...
I'm going to be in Bama.
I'm going to be at June Lake.
June Lake, okay.
We should... Okay, so obviously we're recording this before going on this trip because we switched time like from current to future tense there. I wish that we could have gone to this in the future for us now, in the past if you're listening on Sunday.
That's right. But no.
There's always next year.
It's true.
But that's it for this part of the island. And if you noticed, we didn't go on any islands. And Huell's going to have to explain that. You got some splaining to do, Huell.
So splain.
Yeah.
Okay, first off, let me apologize, because I'm sure you'll remember that earlier I said we'd be visiting 2 of the Channel Islands, and that our first destination would be Catalina Island. Well, obviously we didn't make it on to Catalina Island. We just skied right past it. But I promise the second island we visit, we'll really visit it, spend a couple of days there. Now, on this adventure, we'll be traveling by air. Our journey starts at an airstrip on a naval base on the mainland, as we climb aboard kind of an old-timey looking prop plane. Now, I was kind of excited about this whole thing. Everyone else on board looked pretty relaxed and nonchalant about it. That's because most of the people on the plane make this trip on a regular basis, and we were only in the air about 15 or 20 minutes before we got there. Welcome to San Nicolas Island, which is located about 68 nautical miles southeast of Santa Barbara off the California coast. And I might add, it's a pretty big deal for us civilians to even be here, because normally only official Navy personnel or people who work for the Navy are even allowed on the island. I also know exactly what you're thinking about now. Same thing I was thinking. There's not much here. But just wait, because first impressions can be deceiving. You'll discover, just like I did, that this is truly a magnificent place. First, a little background information. This island is owned by all us taxpayers and operated by the good old U.S. Navy. It's teeming with top-secret, sophisticated communications and missile tracking towers. It's part of the Point Mugu Naval Weapons Station on the mainland, and a vital link in the Pacific Missile Test Center's Sea-Test range. We're talking heavy-duty stuff here. But in addition to all this technical equipment, the island is a nature lover's dream. It's 9.5 miles long and 3 miles wide, and it's packed with a little bit of everything on it. We were given a nature lover's orientation tour all around the island as soon as we arrived by Ron Dow, who's the director of the Environmental Division.
So we get a heartfelt apology from Huell. We obviously didn't go on any islands, but we are now. But, well, not yet, really. Like, in the clip you just heard, Huell starts off on the mainland getting in a plane. And take it from here. I don't even know what to say.
What jacket was he wearing?
He's wearing the pilot's jacket.
He's wearing the pilot's jacket, huh?
What? It's totally like a Top Gun jacket. Where did he get this? Because there's no way he's like, oh, I'm getting on a plane. I better go get my bomber jacket that I only wear on the plane.
I was wondering if he had a jacket that he wore in the military or something. And he just popped it out of the closet. But you're right. That is a...
He was a Marine in the 60s, though.
That's, yeah.
Marine Reserves, even. Like, I don't think he had the full regalia. I don't know how the reserve system really works, but...
Either way, that made me
so
laugh,
quick,
though.
Too.
Yeah.
It's like
just him
a second and a half of
grinning with that jacket
yeah.
on.
But, as you heard, we're heading to St. Nicolas Island, just 68.
San Nicolas, you made the same mistake I did.
Hey, bro, San means saint in Spanish.
It's true, but it's not the name of the island.
Let's call it San Nicolas Island. 68 miles north of Santa Barbara. Or no, I read my own writing wrong. 68 nautical miles off the coast of Santa Barbara.
Yeah, I guess he'll mention that it's 70-something. At
He
towards
does,
the end.
huh?
Yeah.
I thought he was off, but I just didn't go back. Huell. Like we're not going to pay attention 20 years later.
So, and Huell mentions that he's riding a plane with a bunch of servicemen and some civilians.
Mm-hmm.
And he also mentions that we own this island as taxpayers.
How did you feel about that?
It's one of those things where I guess I own it. I don't know what part I own.
We're not allowed to be on it, though.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when you own something you can't go to.
Yeah, this is the whole point of this thing here, because as you heard, last segment, we were in Catalina, not really, never even stepped foot on it. Probably the most famous of the islands off the California coast. Now we're in San Nicolas, the very rare one. Basically just...
I've only looked at
satellites.
this on Google Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I've actually seen San Nicolas. It looks just like this today.
Yeah, I imagine there probably wasn't too much more development, but...
I'm guessing they're not issuing building permits on the island.
No. But we start off with a bunch of nature shots, and that's kind of where we're going with this, because we meet up with Ron Dow.
Just a rare double 3-letter name.
Yeah. And I looked him up, and he retired in 2009 from the Navy. He had a 31-year career as an environmentalist, and he expanded the entire environmentalist program in the area. And he seems to be like pretty well liked for his job he did. And nowhere, anywhere, did they call him Ronald. So it's totally just 3-3 Rondow.
Man.
What a job to have, too, right?
Well, your name's just Chris, right?
No.
K-R-I-S?
Ooh. Killing me with that. Well, I don't know. You're always trying to make me go by Topher.
We're going by T these days.
Not we, just you. You're the only one who says that.
Dude, you respond to it, so...
I never once have. Out of protest.
All right.
I don't call you Lan.
Call me Al. That's what I'm trying to go by. That's my...
Okay, Paul Simon.
You know when people are named Jimmy, they want to go by James when they get older, and then it turns to Jim?
Uh-huh.
I just want to go straight to Al. O-W-L. Anyway.
So, right off the bat, Ron's doing some environmentalist mumbo-jumbo.
Yeah.
He goes up to this dead old bush, proves to Huell that it's not dead, it's just not, it's like dormant, pulls a branch, scrapes the bark off, makes Huell eat it. Says it tastes like a carrot.
And he said, "Tastes like carrot."
Tastes like carrot.
And then, how does Huell respond? He says, "Quote: So this is it's good for you."
Well, as long as it's not poisonous.
And then he asks the question again: "Is it nutritious?" And Ron actually has a good response to that. You know what? I don't know.
Huell does say it has a good taste to it.
Yeah.
And I guess that this island was inhabited by Native Americans because we get to what they call an Indian midden, which I've heard that term before in anthropology classes. Basically means like a dump.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And this was like their cooking spot on the
I thought
island.
it was food like mutton.
Mutton. No. Not Grandma Memma's mutton. So yeah, basically this place is just full of all of this discarded shells, little bits of rock from their tool making, also fish hooks made of shells and whatnot. And these are the kind of places that archaeologists go nuts over. And Huell and this other mystery guy in a red shirt are just picking all this stuff up and totally ruining the area. But of course, it's a military base, so there's probably not many archaeologists going out there. They don't have access.
Mm-hmm.
My assumption, I don't know. Then
Did
your
you
favorite
notice that
part.
Huell, though, has no interest in taking it?
So he says this all the time when he's on like state parks, that he's like, "Oh, I'm not taking it. Don't worry.
Gonna leave it right here."
He's been caught before. You know it, right?
I'm sure.
Dude has tried to steal some stuff from a state park. Excuse me, sir. You can't take that whole building. You're not the Kern County Museum. So your favorite part, the animals.
Well, they do mention the kit fox.
Yes.
I guess we can talk about that a bit.
About our local bit of...
We have
bit of
quite
stuff.
the kit fox population here.
Yeah.
And on CSUB's campus, which is Cal State Bakersfield, they got their own little what would you call that?
Run of the place?
Yeah, run of the place. That's
Yeah, there's a number of dens that the school has kind of designated, like, don't walk in this area.
dude. Some of them you could get your foot stuck
Yeah.
if you didn't look down, and they're not an off the beaten path kind of thing.
No, they're like right by the main building.
Yeah, so you could totally twist your ankle, but.
So kit foxes in our neck of the woods of California, they have been endangered. They've bounced back a lot, but kit foxes really kind of filled this empty niche of a small omnivorous mammal in an urban setting. So all over our city, specifically like kind of downtown, central, and then more on the outskirts of town in the south, where like the suburban areas meeting the agriculture, there's a huge population of kit foxes that run around our streets. And it's crazy because you think like, oh, there's a stray dog in the middle of the night. No,
Just a fox.
yeah, I never see them get hit by cars, so they're like smarter than dogs. Sorry, Louis, but Louis kind of looks like a kit fox. Either way, it's cool. And Huell says that they couldn't catch any on camera because it was too dark. Whatever you say, Huell. You had a whole show where you showed nothing but in the dark. Okay, whatever. So Huell gets to go see the elephant seals. Gets to go up close. Ron's hanging out. There's nothing too spectacular about this
No.
segment. Huell's pretty excited, and Ron isn't. He seems to be a bit jaded about all this.
Probably because they're surrounded by water but can't swim in it. Did you hear that bit?
Yeah. Says the tides are so crazy that people get slammed.
Yeah, but looks like there's a beach that didn't look that intimidating. But, what do I know? So, did you notice when we transitioned from animals to people,
Yeah.
Huell mentions that there are people, quote, in top secret buildings doing top secret technical stuff.
What is top secret technical stuff written right there?
Oh, man.
And there's about 2 seconds they fade in to Huell. Is that Huell?
No, I think
It
looked
wasn't
like,
him,
No,
huh?
that was an ITT Tech commercial. Looked like.
It did. I thought that was Huell interviewing a man who was kind of like going over some very old. That is not Huell. Some like old radar tech, kind of
Right.
like a computer room that's 16 stories tall or something. But that's it. No. And then Huell gets back into his element, the dining hall.
So, on San Nicolas Island City, I should say in San Nicolas Island City, we get to meet a few people, right?
Yeah, because there's only, like 200 people, 50 Navy personnel, 150 civilians. And, that's 4 times as many as were in Allegheny 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But the first guy, Huell asks him, so how's the food around here? And this guy, answer of the episode. Well, it's pretty good, and thank goodness, because it's the only place to eat in town.
It's funny you mention that, because they're trying to sell this place like there's stuff to do.
Yeah.
It looks sort of fun. I mean, given the alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
But really, there's either a karate lesson or bowling.
And these people can't even get on the same page where they just do one and then the other. Like, they happen on the same time. And it screwed up the bowling tournament.
Well, and the funny thing was, we'll just, they'll play tomorrow. Like, the scores would come in the next day?
I don't know. There's a 3-lane bowling alley. And they're having a tournament, but half the dudes went to the karate class. They don't seem to care. Especially, Surfer Bro dude.
Oh, no. Speaking of Surfer Boy,
Yeah.
when Huell was trying to clarify, wow, people are at the karate lesson instead of bowling. He doesn't even have words to respond. And yeah, see that? N-A-A-A, ha.
H-U-H.
Nah.
Well, obviously he wasn't the life of the party. And speaking of parties, Huell finds a party in what looks like a 1960s dorm room.
Dude. Okay.
What is going on here?
I don't know, and I'm curious of what their jobs are.
Yeah.
This looks like a mix of civilians and service people.
So I think there's four dudes and one lady. I call them dudes and chicks because they look like if you're gonna think of that term, despite its kind of not PC manner, these are some dudes and some chicks hanging out at a party. And
this guy is wearing sunglasses inside.
And an apron.
Yeah.
So yeah, 4 dudes, one of them wearing a Nike shirt, another guy wearing a Henley, and then sunglasses and apron guy. And the girl seems so embarrassed to be there. She's keeps kind of sighing and looking off and hiding her face. She's not into it.
No.
But then Huell says, you guys must not have to have a lot of excuses to have a party here. And the Henley dude says, well, the sun came up today. All right, bro. Party animal. And then Huell says, well, you all have lives on the mainland.
Mm-hmm.
And they go down. He goes down the row. First guy, yeah, I'm married. I got 2 kids. Next guy, yeah, got a girlfriend and a kid. The woman says, married. Henley guy, yeah, got a girlfriend and a kid. Sunglasses, apron.
I got a motorcycle.
He pops the room so good with that line. Oh, man. But I guess Huell didn't hang out for the whole party because he's not a big Guns N' Roses fan. Did you see the poster?
No, I didn't see that.
He goes to somewhere more his speed. He goes to the Islanders Club.
So, the lighting.
Yeah.
Dude, the lighting is so bad.
I mean, it's obvious that there's just one like fluorescent light for the whole room.
It looks like a building in a post-communist country.
Yeah.
Like they're still transitioning.
Okay, so you say that, and it does kind of have the same aesthetic feel as that Moscow special that Huell does around the same time. Because these people are so isolated out here that it almost probably does feel like a communist country, except they do have beer and cigarettes, and they're not like.
But why can't the lighting be better? I know it's kind of a bar.
Look at the like Coors lamp above the shuffleboard table back there.
Oh yeah,
that's the kind of lighting they want. And I mean, plus these patrons, we got. This guy looks like he'd be a big Black fan, if you know that band. Steve Albini. He's wearing the coolest Batman shirt I've ever seen. It's because this is 92, 93, so the Tim Burton Batman has been out, and it's that kind of a logo, but it's not Batman Returns yet, where it's all like overly gothy with the penguin and stuff. But then, okay.
You gonna talk about Woody?
Woody Cordum. He has the ultimate California's Gold uniform because...
Dude, okay.
Oh, man.
Here's the thing. Do you remember that giant saxophone that we saw play?
Yeah, in Santa Cruz.
His sunglass or his glasses cover case, that big in comparison to other ones. It almost touches his collar on his polo shirt. Because
those glasses cases, they have a clip on them, but the clip can't even reach the pocket to clip onto it. And you said earlier, like, people who have voices that don't match what you think. I don't think that's the case here.
No,
like,
it's pretty good.
He sounds like a senior citizen frog. Like, just the graveliest, deepest, wretched voice. And he's the dude who was looking at the old doohickeys in the satellite computer room earlier.
And he mentioned why he came out this way, right?
Yeah, because he renamed the island, right?
Yep.
To Alimony Island. Poor Woody had to escape. Can't escape that alimony.
See, it's a bummer because I want to see what these people actually do in
like
terms of their job titles. Because underneath, it just said 31 years on the island.
Yeah, because there's 3 times as many civilians as there are Navy men. And the last interview we get is with another Navy guy. So where are all these citizens? What do they do? Where are they living? I mean, obviously we saw the dorm, but do they live in dorms?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But it's actually Tim that mentions that they can't go into the water.
Yeah.
Do you see the beach shot right there?
Yeah.
It didn't look too intimidating, but who knows?
You don't want to mess around with the Navy, though.
You know, there's something we didn't bring up that I should have brought up on the Catalina boat race.
What?
I am named after my uncle who tried to sail to Catalina Island and died.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to bring this story up. It's kind of a bummer. You just told me this like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Basically, the whole family died. And do you know how...
Yeah, like him, kids, like...
Yeah, I think two kids survived. Not super close with the family, but...
Yeah. The mother?
No, super died.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just 2 kids.
They were saved on a... they had a life preserver on.
Whoa.
And my mom, being my mom, always wanted to make it so much worse. If it already wasn't bad that their sailboat sank and they never found the bodies. You know what my mom said? No.
Wow, okay.
This is what my mom said, because Chuck talks about the sharks always being worried about them.
Yeah.
And my mom said, you know what? The sharks got them. you don't know that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Plus, that makes you wonder, like, did they drown first?
Yeah.
Jaws? Did Jaws... Like, I don't even want to mention Jaws if Aaron's in the room. Favorite movie series.
Actually, he refers to them as Jaw movies. Well, anyway, that's who
like
I'm
the shark only has one jaw, like no lower jaw. Jaw movies.
So, anyway, that was before I was born. Obviously, I'm named after him. So there you go. Little bit of old fam history there.
So you're not wanting to go to the Catalina Ski Race?
I would go to it. Would I be a skier on it? Probably not.
Because you want to go to Catalina. You've been telling me this for like a year.
I do, yeah.
But it's you don't have that weird thing in the back of your head that like, oh, Uncle Allan. Ugh.
I think Unc got my back.
Okay.
No, really, it doesn't bother me though.
Yeah.
You know what? That'd just be really ironic.
Just
we both went the same way.
sail your own sailboat. To
Catalina. There you go.
Like,
but how ironic would that be?
If it can happen to Mr. Tibbs, it can happen to anyone.
You know what? But like we mentioned in the last episode, I could be like Davey and come back a skier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, with the reincarnation. Oh, man.
So did you notice that Tim Bradley, I forget what he did during the day. Did you catch that?
No.
He just has a normal job during the day. But he said from 4 p.m. on...
Oh, he's the fuel manager.
Fuel manager, okay.
Yeah.
It's
a pretty funny title to begin with.
So he mentions that he's, quote, burning up the rolls of film, end quote.
Well, honestly, they show his photography. Dude ain't bad. Because obviously this is film.
You know what? I heard a guy once, it was very pretentious.
Oh,
and I'm sorry if anyone actually says this. I do not mean it in any way.
What are you going to say right now?
Insulting way. But there was a guy who told me that I don't take pictures. Okay? I take photographs. And I think that if we're taking that seriously, Tim takes photographs.
Yeah. You're right. And if there's a better... If that's a photograph, we're looking at a good picture of Huell right here.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's back on the mainland. He's in Long Beach. He's at the pier. And he took the fish stick man off. And look at that belt. Did you see that?
Yeah, I got to look at it closer. Oh, yeah.
It's one of those little thin belts that were in
like
the 80s
braided,
and 90s.
Leather braided?
Yeah, but it's like tie-dye colored. It's nuts. Huell is so cool with his clothes.
That's true.
Like, you think, oh, okay, well, he's got the long sleeve salmon and the black jeans. Like, that's his go-to. Nope, then he throws a tie-dye belt on. Well, I guess that's it.
Yeah, we get the band at the end again, and we see the guy on the jazz bass.
Yeah, not using a pick.
Just the thumb, old side thumb.
Yeah.
That's the church band.
Is it? I thought maybe he just dropped his pick. Because he's not looking like really proficient at it. And everyone else has picks.
Everyone else is into it.
Well, this was a good episode. Unfortunately, it's sandwiched between two great episodes. Last week, I think, was unreal. Like, the horses, the subject matter, okay, whatever. But the fact that we had crazy old Davy, the time traveler, or the reincarnator, Mrs. Dixon. And then next week, we're in Joshua Tree.
And you
yeah.
I know this is one of your favorite episodes.
Yeah. A number of reasons. You'll hear... I don't want to spoil it. There's just too much to even get into. It gets... I'll just say it gets a little psychedelic at times. Maybe Huell found some peyote while he was out looking at the Joshua trees, because things get wild. But I guess, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's go get wild on our vacation.
That we're technically on, if you're hearing this on Sunday. We'll have to give trip reports.
Okay.
Even though you're not going to be in California, which is abandoning the best state in the union. But what are you going to do?
It's very true.
Well, you'll just feel better coming back.
That's true, huh?
You'll see, like, oh, the South, it's cool, but West Coast for
done
life.
this before. It's go there for a week. We're actually going for 2 weeks, and
Yep.
always enjoy coming back to California.
Yeah. Well, or you could just stay in California like I am and see all of its majesty.
I could.
Oh, wait, you are coming back. I forgot that I'm picking you up at the airport. Shoot, that would have sucked to forget that.
And where are we going?
Okay, so I'm doing a bunch of stuff. We'll talk about that later. But you're flying into San Francisco. We are staying with your old roommates and friends that night.
Mm-hmm.
The next morning, we're waking up and we're going to the Gilroy Garlic Festival, which I've been trying to get here for years. And I can't believe it's working out where we're all going. Like, you're coming back from the East Coast, and we're going to slammy over to the Garlic Fest.
Literally land that night, Garlic Fest the next day.
Yeah. What a way to kick off being back in California.
I know. Whew-wee. Okay.
We gotta do that thing where we fall asleep and just wake up the next week again, because we need to get going.
Let's do it.
Well, we hope that you come along with us next time as we continue our search for
Huell's Gold.
Flowers and flowers bloom in the spring. Morning and dawning, birds are singing, chanting, winds and stormy days. That's why I can hardly wait. Open up those golden gates, California, here I come. California, here I come. Right back where I started. Flowers and flowers bloom in the spring. Morning and dawning, birds are singing, chanting, winds and stormy days. That's why I can hardly wait. Open up those golden gates, California, here I come.
The challenge of trying to stay on your ski without falling, and then thinking, gee, if I fall, I wonder if a shark's going to get me. You always worry about sharks, but
Do you really worry about them that much?
you do, but I've never heard of a water skier that fell skiing out in the ocean ever having problems with a shark. But you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like the unknown, especially with all these Jaw movies coming out that it makes you think about it.